Hello and welcome everybody. My name's Ryan, the official host here at Reddit Voice, and today we're going to once again be looking at some of the top stories from r/ProRevenge. Before we do though, I'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button and that notification bell to stay up to date on all the latest videos. Live in a rental for over a year without paying? Good luck in jail. This one has all been finalized, so I decided to post it. For obvious reasons, I didn't want to post it while it was going on. Last summer, I bought a house trailer and decided to rent it out. Needed some work, so I posted 2 months free rent for putting carpet down in the living room, hooking up the hot water heater, and putting in a toilet. Got a nice couple with a newborn willing to do it. Great. No lease, month to month, no security deposit, and the rent was $450 a month. So they did the work, so I didn't ask for rent for 2 months, and everything was fine. Side note, there are a few little state laws that come into play. If you don't pay rent for 3 consecutive months, you're considered a squatter, which means the landlord doesn't have to fix the property and can actually padlock it and deny you entry. If you're on house arrest and get formally evicted, you could be violated for it. Also, you can be formally evicted even if you've already moved out, so the landlord can get rent due. Also, even though there are eviction bans, if it happens before the ban, then it can still go through. Plus a few other conditions that still allow someone to be evicted. It's up to the judge, really. Fast forward 5 months and still no rent money. Yes, they had a newborn and they were young and didn't have a lot of money, but the husband can spend $1,500 on a new engine for his project car. They can afford to go out to eat and spend money on electronics, but no rent. So after the 3rd month, I did nothing. The weather was turning cold. I didn't put in the furnace like promised, and they didn't have a newborn. I would have padlocked the house. They were bragging about their tax refund, and I gave them a shot to catch up, and they basically said they knew their rights and were on a rent strike. Illegally, might I add. You'll see later. COVID happened, husband got laid off, so I gave him a break. When he went back to work, I asked for back rent again and was told to F off. I finally had enough, and I told them they had 14 days to get out, or I was doing a formal eviction, and seeing as he was on house arrest, he knew what that meant. I honestly was trying to keep him from having to go back to jail and keep an eviction off the record. I was trying to be nice and civil. So they left, and I cut my losses, until I checked the property. Everything they put in the removed. Everything they got rent-free was gone. I got pissed and filed for a formal eviction. It didn't go as they hoped. They said I didn't provide heat, so they went on a rent strike. Only they didn't file that with the courts or hold the money aside. They just thought they could stop paying rent. What they put into the trailer was less than the rent. The judge agreed with me, seeing that they took everything that I was due those 2 months' rent, and the biggest. He started slamming my character, so I said, well, you didn't tell me you were going to be on house arrest when you rented the property. Before then, the judge looked bored, but he perked up. He asked them if it was true. They responded that it was, and he was ready to make his ruling. I received 15 months back rent at $450 a month, and $2,000 in damages because the way they removed the stuff damaged a lot of things. As for him, the judge said he had no choice but to turn over the eviction to his parole officer. Fast forward to this month. His house arrest was violated and he was arrested. They actually had the nerve to ask me to speak on his behalf. I didn't. Ruling was his remaining 6 months are now being spent in jail. They have a bad eviction on their record and they owe me money. Know the law before you play the game. TLDR, squatters lived over a year rent-free, and husband ends up in jail. Update. I forgot to add that social media blasted me like I was the scum of the earth. Rich jerk gets banned from the casino after I cost him $3,000 in asshole tax. Slight preface to help understand the language of casino dice gambling jargon. Betting on a number that you want to roll before 7 rolls, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, and 10, is known as the do, as in I do want the number to roll. Keywords are place and buy. Important for fast communication. Dice is a fast-paced game. Betting against those same numbers rolling before a 7 is known as the don't. Keywords are don't bet and lay. These words are in place to help communications go smoothly and are important to the story. I've been a dice dealer for a while now, and this happened a while ago. This story is part a-hole tax, part malicious compliance, and some very petty revenge. The cast: me, non-cape wearing hero; Rich Jerk, self-explanatory; Stickman, fellow dealer on same game as me; Day shift dealer, guy I tapped out to go home for the day; Boxman, my supervisor sitting on the game; Pit Boss, the guy in charge of all the dice personnel; Shift Boss, the guy in charge of operations at the casino that evening. And that is where our story starts. Swing shift starts at 8 p.m. I arrive a little early and am about to send DSD home. Me to day shift dealer. Who's the guy sounding angry and yelling? Oh, him? He's up almost 100,000 and has been a jerk to everyone all day. He tip us anything? Not a penny. That sucks. Have a nice night. Day shift dealer leaves and Boxman is confirming what he said. We are in the service industry and make all our money off tips, so we are well versed in dealing with rich entitled jerks. This guy is the trifecta of all that we think is wrong with rich people. He's winning, he's loud and rude to everyone, and the worst part is, he hasn't tipped a dime. Rich Jerk walks up to my game and puts two $500 chips down and says, "Lay that down there on the 10. Now the consensus that day was the guy had won all his money making place bets and buy bets, the do, and most of them rarely switched to the don't side of things, and I know this full well at the time, but he did use a keyword for the don't bets. Usually we would remind the guest of the proper keywords he should use and then put the money where he wanted. Dice dealers have to learn and read minds sometimes, but that's what we do when we're still hoping for tips. $100,000 later, there were no tips. $1,000 lay against the 10. I look at Stickman and want him to book this bet. All bets should be booked by more than one person, but it rarely happens because of how fast the game will move. Stickman, $1,000 lay against the 10. I look at Boxman and want him to book the bet. $1,000 lay against the 10 is a bet. Rich Jerk is, of course, right there by the game as we book his bet, but he's obvious of me booking the bet wrong despite the other two employees also booking the bet and the bet being in the lay part of the 10 box on the game, and it has a button on it that says lay. We don't put buttons on the chips to denote buy bets anymore. That's the bet RJ wanted, and we didn't want to use buttons on those bets. Now, of course, I'm internally praying for a 10 to roll where I will get to take his $1,000. 10 rolls, oh happy day. Rich Jerk is expecting me to pay him $2,000 for the bet he thought he had, plus him giving the original 1,000 still on the bet. Rich Jerk screaming, "Where the F is my effing money?" I don't know why he sounds like that anymore, but me being the nicest one, like the kind of tone that feels bad that you don't know how this game works. "Oh, yes, sir. The 10 rolled and you had $1,000 lay, which lost, so I took it down." Turned away from so I wouldn't grin and tried my best to ignore him and try to help someone else. "You owe me $3,000. Unaffected by his screaming tone. "You will have to talk to BM. Boxman, also calm even though this guy's about to burst. "Yes, sir. You had a lay on the 10. We booked it." "Get the effing pit boss." At this point, I'm expecting the pit boss to possibly come over and give this jerk his 3K, but in my mind, I'm already a winner for making this jerk burst a blood vessel, screaming at us. This is usually my goal when I'm pulling this kind of thing, and you should never underestimate pure entitlement. Pit boss, to me, give him his $1,000 back for the bet he was booked wrong. I put the 2 purple chips on the table and wait for the clearance for my bosses to ship out, and I'm super excited this twat waffle is missing $2,000. Rich Jerk, starting to think screaming is normal for him. "Are you effing kidding me? You owe me $3,000. Pit boss signals me to put the money away, and I put it back on my stack, doing backflips in my mind now because I'm so happy. Shift boss comes into the pit and asks PB what happened. Pit boss explains it in detail. Shift boss to pit boss in private. I learned about this convo later that night from the pit boss. "You mean to tell me that the base dealer, me, Stickman, and Boxman all booked the bet?" He was a little taken aback by that information because, as I said, it's rare to get that many people to book any one bet. Shift Boss walks right next to me because Rich Jerk is close by my table and stands next to me as he explains what he's willing to do about the situation to appease RJ. Shift Boss to Rich Jerk: "Sir, all 3 of my employees booked your bet as a lay, and you were standing right there. I'm not going to give you any money." Rich Jerk:
"F you short little effer. Get the F away from me."
Shift Boss calmly walks to the head of security as the guy permanently is banned from the casino. No one even questioned my role in the whole situation, and I had a front seat for the whole meltdown. It was glorious. Edit: grammar and spelling. Sorry if my format sucks, this is my first post. Edit 2: took the acronyms out. Didn't know they'd fallen out of fashion. Thanks for the feedback. And with that, my friends, we've concluded today's episode of r/ProRevenge. If you liked it, make sure to leave a like on the video and also subscribe. As always, my name's Ryan, the official host here at Reddit Voice, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video.